I was out kayaking today again. I'm still here in Wisconsin, and for some reason, this thought occurred to me: what if the internet had never existed? What if the internet was just didn't get invented by Al Gore? Um, then how would things be different now? If the same amount of time elapsed between the invention of the internet and now, what would be the same? What would be different? You know, it's an interesting question, and it was a preoccupying one for me, and I had to think it over a bit. Is it an overall net gain or net loss to have the internet? There's no easy answer to this question, which is what makes it an interesting question. So I thought about the question from two different angles. First of all, I thought about it from a personal angle regarding myself and my own writing, my writing career, such as it is, and then I thought also about a more broad, expansive, less personal aspect to the question. I would have to say personally that I'm very glad that the internet came along, because it did enable me to reach an audience. Now, I haven't reached nearly as many people as I would like to, but I was able to find a niche and get some kind of following, which I think, if there hadn't been the internet, I think that would have been a tough road to hoe. I'm not saying it couldn't have happened, but in pre-internet days, in order to be in order to be a writer who was known, you kind of had to get you couldn't just you couldn't just write things in a blog. You couldn't just contribute to some site that has been set up, by some more niche publication, like I did with The Last Ditch initially, and then AlternativeWrite.com after that. It would have been much more difficult to be able to actually reach people, to actually write and have people read what I write. Of course, same goes for this, even though I don't take the creation of videos all that seriously. It's something that I do as a supplementary sort of thing. The idea is to get people interested, hopefully, in reading my writing, which is what I believe is my vocation. What I do here is just obviously more informal, not as it's not as thought out. I just turn on the camera and speak my mind and that sort of thing. But I mean, I wouldn't be able to do this either if there was no internet. I could record videos on a VCR or whatever technology existed, and then put those videos out. But again, the question: how do you drum up an audience? How do you get people interested in you? Absent, something like the internet, where there are so many niches everywhere, and it's easier to find your niche. It's easier to get connected to people, other people who are interested in the same sort of things that you are. Before the internet, I think it was just pretty much, if you weren't famous already, and if you didn't by some kind of fluke become famous, then you were dead in the water. And I was aware, even even in the pre-internet days. I was aware. I couldn't just write a manuscript and send it to Random House. I couldn't just write a manuscript and send it to, I don't know, some other highfalutin publication. Um, you know, that wouldn't work because I wasn't, on their radar screen, and they wouldn't. I would just my MS would just get tossed. Now there were smaller publishers. I could have maybe found a niche there, but still, that's leaving a lot up to chance, and it's leaving a lot up to, getting somebody else to approve of you and like you. Whereas with the internet, you can write your own stuff, and you don't have to jump through hoops, and you don't have to try to get to win the approval of some big wig or small wig, even if we're talking about a smaller publication. You still kind of have to impress them enough to be published by them. So anyway, all in all, for me, I would say that the fact that the internet came to exist during my lifetime has been a net gain. It's helped me get my material out there. It's helped me get my content out there. My books, it's helped me publish them. It's helped me advertise them, and so forth and so on. Again, nothing nearly to the point where I would like it to be, but still, one must be thankful. One must acknowledge and be thankful for what one has. Now let's think about it from a less subjective perspective. That is my perspective. Thinking about the internet, whether it's overall a net loss or a gain for our culture, for our society, is a question that it's a very interesting question, because it really does go both ways. There, especially in the earlier days of the internet, before the big push to centralize and only platform ideas that are approved of by the powers that be, the kind of shit that we're in the middle of now, all of this censorship nonsense, that really wasn't even around until around 2015, 2016. There wasn't really a push to curate things or to try to, to mess with the algorithm so that, if somebody types in somebody who's forbidden, they don't come up, or if you type in the name of somebody who has maybe done some bad things, but who is protected by the establishment, that you type that name into a search engine and you never find the kind of stuff that you're looking for. Like Marina Abramovich, try typing her name into any search engine, and the first 10, 11, 12, 13 pages, I don't know how long you'd go, is just it's just about, oh, she's such an incredible artist, and here's her working with Willem Dafoe, and here's her working with this person, here's her working with that person, here's her illuminating interview in Vanity Fair. You don't find any of the spirit cooking stuff, because they've curated it to a degree where that just can't be found anymore. So, we're in the midst of this desperate effort to curate this realm of the internet right now. And worse than the effort to curate things, to curate ideas in order to make it harder for people to find them, to find ideas that are quote unquote forbidden. Worse than that is the way that the internet is used for surveillance, the way that your data is collected, and that probably has been going on for a long time, even before this current culture conf regarding deplatforming and all of that. So yeah, there are a lot of big baddies out there, and by being a part of the internet in some way, even if you're not on social media, and I would say social media is a net loss. I'm not at all hesitant to say that. I think more and more evidence has shown that to be the case, and that's why. I mean, I'm only on one social media, and that's Instagram. One social media platform anymore, and that's Instagram. I'm not even sure if it's so great that I'm on Instagram, frankly, but I still want to be able to reach people and so forth. I'm on Twitter just barely, and I've always hated Twitter. And I'm not on Facebook anymore because Zuck and his boys kicked me off with AlternativeRight.com a few years ago. So, and everyone affiliated with it got kicked off. So I got kicked off. Colin Liddell got kicked off. So I had like something like 4,000 quote unquote friends there, and I lost them all. So yeah, these kinds of these social media platforms and other places where you can go, there is the positive, which is that you can connect with people and communicate with them more easily than you would be able to in a non-internet world. But the negative is there are eyes staring back at you, and they are watching you. Big Brother is watching you, and he watches you much more efficiently thanks to the internet. So it goes both ways. You have, thanks to the internet, it's still easier to find a niche, to find a group of people that you share ideas in common with. It's easier, if you're looking for, even if you're just looking for friends, it doesn't have to be anything political or social or cultural. It could just be, you're into a certain band, or you're into a certain kind of music, or you're into a certain type of literature that's less, that's a little more off the beaten path. And in the pre-internet days, you were kind of on your own. Like if you liked this author, but nobody else in your town knew who the hell this author was, you could maybe become a member of his fan club, and maybe meet some other people that way. Maybe you would, you could arrange IRL meetings of other people who are fans of this person. But it was a much more difficult thing to be able to do than it is now. Now it's, compared to pre-internet days, it's relatively easy to find like-minded people. And I remember when I first started, I'm a little old. I guess it was Gen X that first started, getting on the internet and doing stuff on the internet. But I've never been, a techno-minded kind of person. So when I first started getting on the internet, I was very, sort of like, what's this? But after a while, I was sort of amazed at like, oh, wow, I can look up all these forbidden ideas. And there was something just so exciting and refreshing about, it wasn't even that I had to agree with them. It might have been that they were, I strongly disagreed with these ideas, but just to find people out there expressing them directly, and me not having to see them, me not having to work behind a filter, that they put up, a curating filter, which they're trying to put up now, but that can only go so far. You You can curate the internet to a degree with the big sites, with Wikipedia and places like that, but you've still got people doing their thing and finding other people, and that's still happening. So, one wonders, would the cultural commissars have been able to make the kind of destructive changes that have happened over the last 25 years without the aid of the internet? It's so easy to just shame someone, like to highlight someone who says something that's considered unacceptable, and then just to call down upon that person, the wrath of the mob. It was harder to do that. If somebody in 1987 said something racist or sexist or allegedly racist or sexist or homophobic or any of the other things that they, any of those other designations, well, it would be harder to get that person banned everywhere because there would be no there'd be no way for the would-be censors to reach other would-be censors in other places across the country or across the world. So, you might have somebody, let's say, like a silly example, but somebody like Andrew Dice Clay, I'm not saying that he was a great comedian or anything like that, but he was definitely someone who ran afoul of the uptight, censor happy class. But he was still able to go on, doing comedy specials and being in movies and stuff like that. And again, I know I'm not saying he was an incredibly important or worthwhile even person, but just citing him as an example of somebody who in the pre-internet age, it was harder, to get the word around. Like you couldn't say, "Oh, Andrew Dice Clay is so terrible, we've got to ban." Hey, people in Cleveland, have you heard? We're in New York. People in Cleveland, you should shut down Andrew Dice Clay, not let him perform any concerts in Cleveland or in Atlanta or in Kansas City. How would they be able to, like, they could write letters, they could make phone calls, but again, you would have to have, these quotes, and the quotes would be maybe taken out of context, or, people would look at them askance, or people would shrug. Whereas today, obviously, you have someone expressing a dissident mindset, or saying something that's considered to be outrageous or offensive, and it's just much easier to just form this hate mob and gather people from all over, pull in people from all over to cancel this person, as we now say. So I would have to say it's a decidedly mixed bag. Without the internet, would they have been able to normalize the kind of things they've been hard at work normalizing? Then again, the internet also provides a way to respond countervailingly to these efforts to normalize all of this vile stuff that's going on right now. So all in all, I would say I can't decide one way or the other. I would say, personally, for me, I'm thankful that the internet has existed. It's been a boon for me. But speaking objectively, culturally, societally, I don't know whether it's been I don't know whether the good outweighs the bad. What do y'all think? And why? I'm just interested in throwing this out there. Thanks for watching. Talk to y'all soon.